Yo, what's up, family? Before we start the video, please do a like, subscribe, and share to any and everyone that you can. Just bring out there a little bit more. With that being said, let's get right into the video. And I want to thank you guys for all the support lately. We on the road to 1K, and it's crazy to even say some shit like that, but it is a possibility. And because of the support, I'm gonna keep grinding. We're gonna see what happens. So today, I want to give you guys a full trade deadline guide for the Boston Celtics. I will say just at the beginning, the Celtics are not trading for stars. This starting five is as good as it can be. And even though I love the guys that's on our bench, it's not too far-fetched to think that we could use another piece. Just looking at the bench so far this season, we are last in scoring, but also last in field goal attempts. Third in offensive rebounds, and that comes from O'Shea Brissett, Cornette, Kada, and Stevens, and Pritchard. Those guys really crash the glass. And I think as a bench, I think that's our best attribute, as crazy as that sounds. We're second to last in steals, but of course we're third in plus minus. The bench isn't really giving up a lot of these leads, which is very important, right? But it's not, 5-man rotations coming off the bench. And even though they're last in points, last in field goals, last in free throw attempts, they're not losing leads when those guys are in there majority of the time. Now, you could say that's a product of them playing with some starters, which every team does, right? If you have a guy that can score, not just threes, because our bench is fourth in three-point percentage, right? You have Pritchard and Hauser. The majority of the shots coming from that bench unit is threes. Cornette is gonna be at the rim all the time, but Hauser and Pritchard, majority of their shots are threes. So if you can get somebody that can score the ball off the dribble, that in-between area, I think it can really help us. So I have a couple players that I would like to see the Celtics pursue. There's been recent articles and reports that say that the Celtics will be players in the trade deadline. It doesn't matter how good your team is. I always think you should be active at the trade deadline, not pull off a crazy move or anything, but no team is perfect, right? And if you have an opportunity to upgrade as a GM, that's your job, you know what I'm saying? So just making sure that the cost isn't that much is really what it comes down to for Brad Stevens. So every player that I'm looking at right now in this video are, one, they're bench players. Two, the majority of them fit in the Grant TBE. I think it's really important that we don't give up a player. The Celtics don't have a lot of tradable contracts. We have Al Horford's $10 million, but we're not trying to give up Al Horford unless it's for a major upgrade. But for a guy on the bench that's going to be under Al in minutes, we're not giving up Al Horford. So again, I think it's important to include guys that we don't have to give up players for. So we could probably just send out 2 second-round picks, a first if the player is worth it. We still have our own first from this year, but let's get right into the players. So in the category of being last in bench scoring and last in free throw attempts, there's 2 guys from the Brooklyn Nets that I think can come off our bench and really help in that aspect. The first one is Lonnie Walker, and the second one is a guy that I've been pushing a lot on this channel for the Celtics, and that's Trenton Watford. First off, Lonnie Walker this season is averaging 13 points and 2 rebounds, shooting 50% from 2 and 45% from 3 on 5 attempts. He missed about 12 straight games with a hamstring injury and has been back for 3 games. The first 2 games he came back in, the Nets ramped him up really slowly, only playing 6 minutes in each game. But as I'm recording this right now, the Nets just lost to the Cavs, and Walker had 20 points on 8 for 12 shooting, so I think he's alright. Walker comes in and instantly becomes our first scoring option off the bench and provides some variety this unit doesn't have. Like I said at the beginning, Pritchard and Hauser, although they can mix it up a little bit, are gonna have about 70% of their attempts from behind the arc. Lonnie can shoot and is one of the best shooters statistically from 3 in the NBA right now, but he is a much more proven driver and creator off the bounce than anybody on our bench. Lonnie is on a really small 1-year, $2 million contract, so getting him money-wise will be no problem. The asking price for him is a little difficult to gauge, being that Brooklyn isn't a horrible team, but last season we saw a number of role players go for 4 or 5 second-round picks, and the Celtics picked up about 3 seconds in the last NBA draft. So if seconds is the price to pay, I say the Celtics go get Lonnie Walker. Second is Trenton Watford, who again I've been pushing to the Celtics since the beginning of the season. Watford is averaging 6 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists, shooting 58% from 2 and 36% from 3. He played 13 minutes versus the Cavs today and had 8 points and 4 rebounds. What intrigues me about Watford is his size and skill set. At about 6'8", 240, he's a small forward/power forward that has surprising handle and quickness for someone his size. He also would bring that scores creation off the bench, but with a ton more size. Watford is a low value stat sheet stuffer, as he's a good rebounder and an impressive passer at his position. Watford is also on a 1-year, $2 million deal, but I do believe, of course, he's a lot less valuable than Lonnie Walker in Brooklyn's eyes. I think this is an easily obtainable piece for the C's, so it's just up to Brad. Now on to the next batch of players. Another area of improvement for the Celtics bench is steals. I do want to say off the top that steals is not a barometer of defense. Al Horford is still a plus defender. Sam, Hauser, and O'Shea are solid defenders, but having good defenders that also take the ball away from the opposing team could be really important. So the two guys I have for this section is Delon Wright and Torrey Craig. Maybe it'll be a little awkward for Brad Stevens to call the Wizards for another trade, but I think this one would be worth it because Delon Wright is as steady as they come. Wright is a 31-year-old veteran point guard who has size, skills, and intangibles to guard 1 through 3 at 6'5", 185. He returned from an MCL sprain on December 26th, and his shooting numbers have gone down since coming back. Before the injury, in 17 minutes a night, he was averaging 5 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, and 2 steals while shooting 36% from deep and 44% on catch and shoot threes. In terms of defending, Delon Wright has honestly been one of the most underrated point of attack defenders for years. Last year, he ranked in the 96th percentile in overall perimeter defense, and this year, he ranks in the top 1% in pickpocket rate, steals, and deflections per 75 possessions. According to B-Ball Index, he hasn't received a grade lower than an A- when it comes to ISO perimeter defense in the last 8 seasons. If impact and disruption is what you want on the defensive side, Delon Wright is your guy. The thing with Delon is that although he's on an expiring deal, it's worth $8.1 million, so trading for him wouldn't be as straightforward as the others. I wouldn't mind sending out an end of the bench guy along with seconds to get Delon, but I would rather someone just be able to fit into the TPE. Torrey Craig is a dependable 6'7" wing and has been that way for a long time. Craig has played 27 games this season, averaging about 21 minutes a night. In those minutes, he's putting up 6 points and 5 rebounds on 38% from 3. Craig, like Delon Wright, is a very steady veteran that continues to defend at a high level. Last year, Craig ranked in the 95th percentile in overall perimeter defense and has played up to that level this season. Unfortunately, Craig just suffered a plantar fascia injury, but there's a couple of reasons why I think the Celtics should still look at him. The initial timeline of the injury was 8 to 10 weeks, but on December 21st, Craig said that he thinks he'll be back earlier than that. Also, the Celtics don't need Craig right now, and having another 3-and-D wing in the chamber for that last stretch of the season would be huge. Also, coming back into the fold shouldn't be a big problem for a steady vet like Craig. Craig also only makes $2.5 million annually over the next 2 seasons, which means the Celtics wouldn't even have to send a player to the Bulls to get him because he fits into the trade exception. The reliability of Craig, along with the possibility of not even having to give up a player for him, really makes him a target worth pursuing. Alright, so lastly, I have 2 more guys that weren't initially on the list, but I think can be really intriguing pieces for the Celtics. One is Simone Fontecchio of the Jazz, and the other one is 100% a pipe dream. I'm not even going to go that far into explaining it because I know it's not going to happen, but there were multiple reports from credible sources that AJ Griffin of the Atlanta Hawks was not being shopped, but he's available, right? And if this is true, it's a rare occasion where you can get a young guy with a lot of potential, and this is someone I would give up my first for because, you know, he's still young, he has loads of potential, he has size, he can shoot the ball, but again, that's the story for another day. Fontecchio is a 6'7" wing who would add even more shooting to one of the best 3-point shooting benches in the league. This season, Simone is averaging 9 points and 3 rebounds, shooting 56% from 2 and 39% from 3. Despite this only being his second year in the league, he's 28 years old as he wants to enter his name into the 2015 NBA draft, but was then pulled out by his agent. He returned to Italy, where he's from, to play there and was picked up by the Jazz last season. He's not the best defender, but the size coupled with his shooting could make for another useful wing. Simone is only making $3 million this year, so trading for him doesn't require players to be sent back to the Jazz. But that is the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. Again, subscribe and share the end everyone that you can, just so we can get out there a little bit more. And I will see you guys in the next video. This is Nick. Peace.